Hey guys, I'm Rollercoasters. A couple weeks ago, I went to arguably the best theme park in the world, Cedar. And because I've been posting the POVs, I thought it would also be a good time to rank all 16 of their operating roller coasters. So, that means Top Thrill Dragster won't be on here, as it's not operating right now. And by the way, this is all my opinion, so don't get mad in the comments if you disagree. If you do disagree, tell me what your opinion is. With all that out of the way, let's get into the number 16 spot. 16, Wilderness Run. Wilderness Run is one of the two Cedar Point kiddie coasters. There is a height cap to the ride, but luckily I got the credit because I was at Coaster Mania and we got ERT for it. This is just your average intimate kiddie coaster. You know, the ones that just go in an oval with a small drop and hills. The one negative I do have with this ride is that it's really hard to get in the train. I know this ride is meant for little kids, but I'm not tall, only being 5'5", and my legs were really squished. Nothing else to really say on this ride though. 15, Woodstock Express. Another kiddie coaster that I got on because of the ERT, and there really is nothing to say about this one that I didn't say about the last one. I mean, the layout was more advanced, having some turns and a bigger drop. The trains were also more comfortable, and they looked better, but besides that, it was just an average kiddie ride. 14, Corkscrew. They really just need to remove this ride. This ride rattles your head basically the whole time, and the layout is bland besides the corkscrews, but that doesn't make the ride any better. I don't really recommend this ride unless you really want the credit. That's all I really have to say about this ride. 13, Cedar Creek Mine Ride. This was a pretty cool mine ride in my opinion. It had some sharp turns, and it was a pretty long ride. Aerodynamics did way better at this ride than Corkscrew. The one thing about this ride, if I had to nitpick it, is that there's 3 helix, which is really repetitive. Overall, I really enjoyed this ride. 12, Iron Dragon. This is a steel suspended coaster, and it's just like the Bat at Kings Island, but the Bat is better in my opinion. This ride was pretty smooth with 2 lift hills and 2 helixes. The max height is 76 feet, and the max speed is 40 miles per hour. This was a pretty well-made family coaster. 11, Wild Mouse. Wild Mouse is Cedar Point's newest roller coaster, and this is definitely the family coaster that Cedar Point needs. Some other people say that Wild Mouse doesn't belong at the same park that has the best roller coasters in the world, but I kind of disagree with that. I think that this ride was the most fun I've ever had on a Wild Mouse. The sounds and the really sharp turns just made it better, and I love how they made it where one train looks like cheese. Zamperla did a great job with this Wild Mouse. 10, Blue Streak. This is Cedar Point's oldest coaster, being made in 1964. Unlike Corkscrew, they shouldn't take this ride down, as it's an icon of Cedar Point, and it's just a good roller coaster still. It's pretty tall and fast for a wooden coaster, especially being made way back then. The blue on blue color scheme is actually really slick, and one of my favorite colors on a roller coaster ever. This has tons of hills, but I enjoyed every single one, to the lift hill, all the way to the 2 bunny hills. The rest of these coasters are really good, and a big step up from the last ones. 9, Rougarou. This is an overhated ride in my opinion. Yes, it is bumpy, but the speed and height on this floorless B&M was pretty good. It didn't have too many cool elements, with there only being a corkscrew and a twisted hill and a pre-drop. They should repaint it though, because I always get Rougarou mixed up with Valraven whenever I'm looking for one of the two. No matter what people say, you should still give it a shot. Just try sitting in the middle of the 4 seats, as it'll give you a smoother ride. 8, Gemini. Gemini is a classic of Cedar Point. It's a hybrid racing coaster, which I enjoyed the elements, including the helix and the bunny hills, which gave a good amount of airtime. To be honest, this is one of my favorite racing coasters now, and I enjoy it more than the Racer at Kings Island, and even more than West Coast Racers at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I really recommend riding the ride, if you haven't yet, as even though it's only at the 8th spot, it was truly an amazing ride. 7, Raptor. Raptor is a B&M invert, like Silver Bullet and Patriot, but to be honest, this is the best B&M invert I've ever been on. It made me gray out multiple times, and it has 6 inversions, which is a good amount for an invert. It has a good speed of about 60 miles per hour and a height of about 140 feet. It's also such a lengthy coaster with 3,790 feet of track, which you go all through it in 2 minutes and 15 seconds, which is pretty fast. Like the other coasters, this is another one that you should really ride and not miss out on. 6. GateKeeper. GateKeeper is another B&M, but this time it's a wing coaster. Like the other rides at this park, it was a top tier ride in my opinion, and it's really underrated compared to the other roller coasters. The thing that stands out from this one from all the other roller coasters at Cedar Point is how visually amazing it looked. The track goes through one of the entrances, and there are keyhole-like structures that you go through, which have really good leg chopper effects. Even though there are 6 inversions, its max speed goes up to 67 miles per hour, and it's 170 feet tall. I thought it was kind of tamer than the other ones. This affects the score a little, which is the only reason why it's not higher. Overall, this ride was really cool. 5. Valraven. Valraven and GateKeeper were so close, it took me a good amount of time to decide which one I liked more. Valraven is a B&M dive coaster. I don't get to ride dive coasters a lot, so this was pretty fun. I've realized that sometimes when dive coasters are built, it's just the drop that is cool, then the rest of the ride is boring. But I didn't feel like that for Valraven. Valraven has other intense versions, like the 0G roll and the dive loop, which, hot take for me, I think I like the dive loop more than the drop. This was such an insane ride to experience. These next 4 roller coasters are S tier in my opinion, and in my top 15 overall favorite coasters. 4. Magma XL 200. Magma is such a love-or-hate ride. There's no in the middle. But for me, I loved it. This is an aerodynamics hyper, which has some insane stats of a max 250 feet and 72 miles per hour. The most insane part is that there's a whopping 5,106 feet of track, which you get through in 2 minutes. The reason why some people hate this ride so much is because of the bumpiness and how it jolts you around. Which, yes, it does do that, but I think people over-exaggerate it a lot. And the elements are so strong, it's worth riding it anyways. And when I say that the elements are so strong, I mean it. Those bunny heels coming back to the loading station give your thighs a beating. But in a fun and exciting way. It's hard to explain. This roller coaster and the next 3 are all must-ride rides more than once. 3. Millennium Force. Millennium Force is a giga coaster. In fact, it was the very first giga coaster. If you don't know what a giga coaster is, it's a roller coaster that has to be a height of 300 feet to 400 feet. And it has to be complete in a full circuit. This intimate coaster stands 300 feet and goes a whopping 93 miles per hour. This coaster is one of the longest layouts in the park, being about 6,600 feet long. This ride feels way faster than 93 miles per hour, especially in the front row. Your face feels like a dog sitting out of its head of a car window. This ride also had some really good airtime, with an overbank and a bunny hill. I'm so excited to ride some other gigas someday, as this isn't the best of what I've heard. One of my favorite roller coaster credits ever. 2. Maverick. This intimate LSM launch coaster is no joke. Something cool about this roller coaster is that it doesn't just have one launch, it has 2. And the second launch, when you go into the shed, is so powerful, and combined with that turn right after you get out of it is crazy. Maverick has 2 inversions, including a twisted horseshoe roll, which isn't a common element. It does match with the western theme of the ride, which I do think is pretty cool. This roller coaster has a max height of 105 feet, and the launch goes 70 miles per hour. This was a great contender for first place, but the next ride beats it by a good amount. And the number 1 place for the best roller coaster at the park goes to the one and only Pipe Scream. As almost all of you guys would know, the number 1 spot is Still Vengeance. Still Vengeance is actually my favorite roller coaster I've ever been on, and it probably will be for a long time. Still Vengeance is an RMC hybrid with an iBox track. There are 4 inversions and 5,740 feet of track, which is pretty crazy. This 74 miles per hour ride has the world's most airtime, which is really crazy, and when you're on the ride, especially on the back, you could definitely feel the force and ejector airtime. Still Vengeance has a menacing drop being 200 feet and has some crazy elements, including 3 0G rolls, which is an absurd amount, a 0G stall, an outward bank airtime hill, and many more. This is a very long ride, with thousands of feet of track. There is no other ride like this, besides Iron Quasi. but we're not talking about that right now. This roller coaster is a must-do multiple times, front row and back, and at night. This coaster would probably be perfect if they didn't repeat the elements so many times, like the 30G rolls. But besides that, the ride is perfect. That was my ranking of all 16 roller coasters, ranked worst to best. If you made it to the end, make sure to like and subscribe as it helps me a lot. And it will be worth it for you, so you can see my other cool videos like this. I hope you guys liked this video, as it took me forever to make. If you thought differently, let me know in the comments below. Cedar Point was one of the coolest parks I've ever been to, and I'm so excited to go again. With all that, I'm out.